Today's front squat day. This is the first time in over a year that I've done a front squat. I used to love doing front squats, but not the reason why you'd think. A lot of people consider that a front squat is really great for quad building because it's more upright or whatever it might be. But I did front squats. I'm a powerlifter, so I don't need to do a front squat in my sport. If you're a weightlifter, you do. To do a clean, the bottom position is a front squat. But apart from those athletes, apart from weightlifters, you technically don't ever need to do a front squat. And a lot of people would consider that it's a better quadricep exercise. And I've heard all of the arguments, and I used to preach all of the arguments. The main argument being the front squat allows you to be more upright. The more upright you are, the more you're able to bend your knees. And the more you can bend your knees, the more you'll develop quadriceps, which makes sense. You know, bend your knees under load. And then the next thing they say is go and have a look at the best weightlifters in the world. They have incredible quadriceps, which is also true. So there's the argument for why, of all the squat patterns, is the best for quad building. Now I'm going to tell you that I disagree. And the reason why I disagree is because of the loadability of the exercise. So right now is kind of a light day. But my best ever front squat, pretty big, it's 260 kilograms. That's really good. I think it's fantastic for a powerlifter. That's not my main exercise that I train. And at that time, my best back squat in reps was around 400. But in sleeves, I did a 320 kilogram paused back squat. Around that time, I could front squat 260 kilograms. So that's really, really good. But I did the front squats for fun, not because I believed that it was good for building quads or anything like that. Now, the reason why I don't think it's amazing for building quadriceps is because when you're considering the exercises for muscle building, like what's the best exercise to build muscle, what you need to think about is, firstly, what muscle are you targeting? We're talking right now about quadriceps. And when you're thinking about that muscle, you got to think, does this exercise make it so that that muscle that I'm targeting is the limiting factor of the movement or the reason why I failed? So another way of framing that is, if you do a front squat, do you fail that lift? Like when you take it to the limit, do you fail that lift because your quadriceps just can't push anymore? Think about it, and the answer is typically no. It's usually your ability to brace or your upper back strength or your core strength that folds first. Like you'll front squat and you go under maximal loads and then you'll dump the bar. It's not because your legs aren't strong enough, it's because your core isn't strong enough. So therefore, are the quadriceps the limiting factor of the movement? The answer is usually no. So therefore, I consider that a high bar back squat, so low bar back squat is more hip dominant. A high bar back squat is a lot more upright, especially if you elevate the heels, like with the weightlifting shoe. And it's more loadable movement than a front squat, which means because it's more loadable, it allows you to stimulate more quadriceps. Now here's the next thing. In a high bar back squat, are the quadriceps the limiting factor of the movement? Kind of more so than a front squat is my answer, but still, there's still so many muscles that come and assist. And if you truly fail a back squat, maybe it's your quads, maybe it's your back, maybe it's your balance, I don't know. Like, is the quadriceps the limiting factor of the movement? And this is where you get the debate of, are machines superior to free weights for quadriceps development? And the conclusion is typically machines are better because this is the only way you can guarantee that you're positioning your body in a way, because you're locked in a hack squat or a leg press, where you have no choice, but the quads, the target muscles, are the limiting factor of the movement. Next step. You guys think I hate squatting all of a sudden. I don't. I'm just playing devil's advocate. This feels very foreign. The discomfort, because I haven't done it in a while, is in the front. It's like the skin. And yeah, that just feels strange. But I know that that's just a conditioning process and it'll take a few sessions and then all of a sudden it'll feel comfortable. But anyway, back to my discussion. You guys think I hate squats all of a sudden. It's a funny thing because I've been doing this for a very long time. I love squats. Squats are my favorite exercise and a front squat is one of my favorite variations. But objectively, the argument of what's the best for quad building is, yeah, it's not front squats. Anyway, we're doing front squats today because I still believe it's a great exercise and there are a lot of great benefits to it. So what I'm doing as an introduction, I'm feeling it with pauses. So a lot of the times when I'm reintroducing an exercise that I haven't done for a long time, I like to do a variation that doesn't allow me to shift as much. Right? So my limiting factor is probably going to be the discomfort on my neck and my shoulders. So I think that that's going to give way before my legs do. So therefore, I want to choose a variation where I can't load it as much, so that doesn't get as uncomfortable, but I can still stimulate the right muscles. So anyway, I don't know how heavy I'm going to go. I'm up to 120. I'm going to be doing pauses up until I get to a decent point. I don't know, in the top of my mind, I have like 180. Maybe I can do a 180 pause front squat. It's not massive, and I'm suspecting that that should be comfortable, but that's where I'm going to leave it, and then I'll do some back down work.
Just one rep?
Just for a top single. Yeah, of course, this is what I like to do. Top set, back down set method. As you guys know, you're following my page, top set, back down set method. It's not just a great tool for teaching you how to peak in strength. It's also a great way for me to reintroduce the exercise. So I feel, a heavy-ish weight, and then I get the rep work in. So this is how I retrain, recondition my body to be comfortable under a front squat position.
Checklist of what you're looking for in this exercise.
For sure. Yeah, because it's pretty important. Now, a few things. So something that a lot of people talk about is my shoulders. So whenever I'm doing a back squat, you'll know that how limited I am with my shoulder mobility. When I do a back squat, I hold the barbell from collar to collar. It's not because I think you should hold it wide. The cue is to hold the bar as close as your shoulder mobility allows. That's as close as I can get. I can't get under the bar when I'm holding it this close. I just physically can't. My shoulders are so damn tight. So that's why I hold it wide. Now, same applies for the front squat. So you've got two different positions. One is the clean position. So here I can get there, but then to unrack it, I can't get my elbows up high enough. So therefore, I used to be able to, I've lost a lot of mobility there. So therefore, I won't be using the clean position. So I'll do the bodybuilder grip or the crossover grip, I don't know what you want to call it. But actually, I don't even cross my hands over. If you come in and zoom in, you'll see what I actually do. I place it where I need to place it. There's an airplane going over. It's going to be too loud. I'll do it in a minute. All right, so what I do is I put this is just how I set it up. I put my thumb on the line so I know I've got symmetry. And then what I do is I place it up on my neck, but what I'm doing is I'm placing it behind the shelf created by my anterior deltoid. Okay, so some people lack the mobility, or they have like forward head posture and they can't get it behind this shelf. It needs to sit behind that front delt. If it's you and it kind of sits in the middle of the deltoid and you get bruised shoulder belly, you're in the wrong position. And in my opinion, you're not able to load it significantly enough for it to be an effective exercise. It's too far away from your center of mass and you just won't be a good front squatter. So that's my number one key for the rack position, is to get it behind that shelf. Now, that feels uncomfortable, right? Up on your neck. Okay, so if you saw where my hands were, a lot of people say that that's the crossover grip. I don't believe in that. Like, people hold onto the bar like this. I don't believe you should hold onto the bar. I'm using my thumbs. I hold my hands like this, and I use my thumbs to push it into my neck so it doesn't roll forward. So that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping it doesn't fall off my shelf. I'm pushing it back the whole time, right? And then the objective here is people say to keep the elbows high. The idea of keeping the elbows high is to remain upright. So if that drops, usually the elbows drop and the torso drops. As I said, the upper back and the core is usually the limiting factor of the movement. So what you want, people say, hold the elbows high is a good cue. I think it's a great cue. Elbows high, but for me, I'm holding it here. And I want to keep the elbows high, but it's important to understand, why am I keeping the elbows high? That is in aid of maintaining an upright torso in the bottom position, because you want to balance the barbell when you're in the bottom of the squat. You want to balance the barbell in line with your midfoot, or the center of your base of support. So you see what I do. I push it behind the shelf, elbows high, and then I aim to be as upright as possible. Okay, so let's go a little bit heavier. So that was 120, we go 140 next. Around my neck, and I don't want it to slip off here. I should be able to position my body in a way that it doesn't fold, but I am used to tipping forward in my squats. But anyway, let's see, 140. So behind the shelf, that's important. And I'm not holding onto the bar, I'm pushing it in. uncomfortable. I can feel that it's coming up easy. So the squat part isn't hard. It's not. It's just a new part. So anyway, so now you know my opinion on whether or not front squat is good for muscle building. Like, it's objectively not the best. If you were to choose a free weight exercise, a back squat is superior to a front squat if your goal is purely quadriceps development and you're using it as a bodybuilding exercise. And if you're using it as a bodybuilding exercise, I'd go one step further and say the stiletto squat is the most superior barbell free weight exercise for quadriceps development. So therefore, if I'm not a weightlifter, so I don't need to do it for my sport, and I don't think it's superior for building leg mass or strength. So back squat builds more muscle and builds more strength than a front squat. What is a front squat actually good for? Here's the next thing, is upper back strength. So this is where I work with a lot of people that love to include a front squat because of the benefits that it has on your upper back strength, which is true. It strengthens the hell out of your upper back. So some people, I don't want to say all people, some people love a front squat for the benefits and carry over that it has for your deadlift. Does a front squat carry over to your deadlift? Of course it does. Now I'm going to talk about some really good deadlifters and how they train. In particular, the best deadlifter in the world, Hafthor Bjornsson. Now, I happen to know his training very well because I'm his coach and I write his programs. And I've been doing that since 2016. And when I met him, his best deadlift was 450 kilograms. Technique wasn't amazing, far from it. Now, his best deadlift is 510 kilograms and his technique is incredible. How much front squatting have we done to get Thor Bjornsson to as strong as he is with deadlifts? The answer is, I would confidently say I've never programmed a front squat for him ever. So the argument, front squat is a great exercise to carry over for your deadlift. Yeah, well, why haven't I used it with Thor? I'll tell you why. Because there's a million exercises that carry over to your deadlift. There's so many good exercises. The main exercise that carries over to your deadlift is the deadlift itself. Specificity. But of course, I do believe in variation. I do believe in using accessory exercises. Now let's go to strongman. So deadlifts, does it carry over? Yes, it's the best exercise. I guess it's kind of there. If you like doing it, I'd say this is what I'm going to allude to, is enjoyment, but I'm going to get there in a moment. The next thing, a lot of people say, anterior loaded exercises. So my upbringing as a strength coach and, a wannabe strength athlete, I was taught by my early mentor, Charles Poliquin. He's passed away. And he was one of the best strength coaches in the world, coached Olympic athletes, a lot of team sport athletes, professional level, in multiple teams, multiple sports. And he believes that the front squat is a superior test of strength for athleticism than a back squat. So that's what a lot of his athletic testing revolved around, your front squatting. He also liked to include weightlifting movements for his athletic population as well. So for his team sport athletes, he liked the carryover of your cleans and snatches and your weightlifting exercises to build strength and power for his non-strength sport athletes. So he favored the front squat. So I guess that's where I started doing my front squats. I used to consider it's one of the best exercises because in athleticism and in a lot of sports, you need to have strength in your anterior core. So that's the anterior core. So we've got posterior chain strength, which is deadlifts, but you also need to be able to do things like, in tackling sports and judo or grappling sports, you need to be able to hold the weight of another human in front of you. So this is where anterior load strength in your core, a front squat ticks those boxes. It's a fantastic exercise for that. Now, let's go to strongman. A lot of the strongman events is heavily anterior loaded. So Atlas stones, shield carries, Conan's wheel. So Conan's wheel, that's anterior load. And now a lot of the times they don't need a Conan's wheel, they're doing Zercher hold run. So you're holding a yoke with the weight in front of you. So performing a front squat has huge carryover for your strength that's required for those events. Is it true? Yes, it's true. It does. However, there are so many exercises that also carry over. And this is what you need to consider is, how fatiguing are these exercises that you're performing, these accessory exercises? Are they interfering with the recovery that's required to doing the exercise itself or doing all of the other exercises that are prescribed in the program? These are the things you need to consider. All right, 160. I've got to switch on because when I talk, I'll switch off and it gets heavy. All right, 140 felt hard. I feel like it moved well, but it felt hard. Once again, felt heavy. I don't know if it looked heavy, definitely felt heavy. It's been a while since I've done this. as I keep on saying. Let me have a look. This is really foreign to me. It feels like, it looks like I'm using the wrong muscles. I feel like I'm just finding the groove. I think this will be my top set. And then every week, like I'm a lot stronger than this, but it's just lack of familiarity. So every week, I'd probably consider this today, it might even be like an RPE 9. Maybe I'll fail it, I don't even know. But either way, like that's the plan. I just had 180 in my head when I was doing this because I think, of course I can do 180. Like currently, my last squat session, I did 250 kilograms for 5, or was it even 6 reps? I think I did 6 reps. It was 5 or 6. Like that's pretty strong. My squat strength is strong. Last week I deadlifted 300 kilograms for a single, which is why I don't want to go super heavy today. But either way, I did forget it. But either way, it's hard. Anyway, so the objective is to rebuild the movement gently. I think 180 for 1, and I think next week I'll be able to take bigger jumps. Like maybe I'll be able to take 10 kilogram jumps every week. So 180, 190, 200, 210, 220, I don't know, we'll see. So therefore, all I'm talking about, so with front squats and strongman, like I said, I've never programmed a single front squat for Thor Bjornsson. And he's good at a lot of events. He's good at Conan's wheel. He's good at Zercher holds. He's good at holding heavy weights in front of his body and running with it. He's the best in the world at deadlifts, and he's the best in the world at Atlas stones. So the front squat has so much value for building strength in the anterior core. Why aren't I using it? Like I said, there are many exercises that strengthen the anterior core. And do you actually need it? Like, maybe not. So therefore, why am I doing it? Something that I talk a lot about, training morale and enjoying what you do. So you might hear someone say, this is the favorite exercise. They won't even say it's a favorite exercise. They'll say, this is the best exercise. Then I'll use front squat. This is the best exercise as a carryover for strongman or weightlifters, or of course, yes, weightlifters, they need it, but to carry over for your deadlift strength or to carry over for your Atlas stones or whatever exercise. It's like, it's a great exercise. Is it the best? There are many good exercises. I'll tell you when it's the best, if you love doing it. Because if you love doing it, that's when you're going to apply more effort. When you apply more effort, you do better at it. And then it makes you stronger. Do you get it? So this is where training morale and actually enjoying the exercises that you perform makes you stronger, because you apply more effort and you do better at it. And that could be the exact reason why you turn up to your training sessions and do well. Anyway, this is going to be my top set. I'm going to switch on. Okay. So note for next time, this knurling here for a back squat is not needed for a front squat. It's just not. And on a powerlifting bar, it is very aggressive knurling, and it's a brand new Eleiko bar. Love my bar, but just don't love it so much for front squats. This is why a lot of CrossFit bars have smooth center knurling. No, there's no center knurling, I should say, for that reason. Anyway, whatever. Triples, if I'm strong enough. Okay, that felt good. Now, this is the beauty of a top set back down set. So last time I spoke about the top set back down set, it was in light of great way to teach you how to handle a heavy single and to peak your body. And the reason why it's a great way is because heavy singles, the skill of heavy singles is needed, but it's very demanding. And if you only do heavy singles, you're not doing enough volume to maintain or even build new muscle. So doing the heavy single and then the lighter loads with higher volume allows you to maintain that muscle mass. Now in this instance, that top single potentiated my back down work. What does that mean? Had I come in and just aimed for 140 triples, that would have felt a little bit harder than how it felt just then. So what I did was took my body up to a top set, which felt challenging. It wasn't an absolute limit, so it didn't fatigue me hugely. It was very hard because of the familiarization, so it's very rusty, that movement. But coming back down, doing the drop sets now, allowed me to do that very well, so that was easy. I'm gonna do 3 sets of 3 on here. Now, 3 reps, that doesn't seem like much. No, it's not. However, I've got a few rules with my exercise selection. Front squats, I typically, so this is something I learned from Charles Poliquin. He told me a while ago and it suited me just fine. He said, don't take front squats more than 6 repetitions because this is where the fatigue factor of the muscles that aren't your quadriceps really kicks in. So your upper back doesn't have that strength endurance to hold on to that weight for very long. So therefore, keep the reps under that certain time under tension. So 6 reps is kind of the upper limit. The next thing, I'm adding pauses. So if you do a normal rep, however long that takes, if you're doing a pause rep, I consider that like a 1.5 reps. So therefore, whenever I'm doing a pause, so if you're doing, high rep sets and you think this exercise suits 6s, like a front squat suits 6s, what if you do 6s with a pause? That's not 6s anymore, that's more like 9 reps, right? So this is why triples, if ever I'm doing a front squat with a pause, I'll do, 1 to 4. If I'm doing straight reps, I don't even like 6 reps. Some people do high rep front squats, I don't. I think that to do 6 if you like. For me, 5 is probably my upper limit, but even then, I like this. So 3 by 3, this is a really nice reintroduction of the exercise. This is my secondary squat day for the week. My optimal for building as big of a squat as possible is to squat 2 times per week. 1 heavy session, 1 light session, and this is my light session. So this is going to be not so heavy. So it's a front squat, it was hard, but because the weight is objectively not that heavy compared to what I'm doing with my deadlifts and my back squats, it's not as fatiguing on my nervous system, so it's easier for me to recover from. So it stimulates but not annihilates. It's going to complement all of the rest of my work without accumulating further fatigue. So my rest is going to be 5 minutes and then I go again. All right, set 2. Okay, that was set 2, that felt okay. I actually didn't rest 5 minutes, I rested about 3 minutes then because I just got a little bit of news. I'm going to end this session a little bit short. I've got news that Wiz Khalifa's in town and he's going to be training some kickboxing at my mate's gym. My mate over there, that big guy, Alex Godly Strong Simon, and he's training for a kickboxing event and this is where he trains his boxing. And so I'm going to come over, check it out, maybe do a bit of fanboy, get a photograph, and then I'm going to come back. But either way, that's that session over. A little bit of an insight on front squats. I hope you enjoyed that. And I'll see you guys next time. So check this out, right? Can you see my neck? So this is... You can't?
No, I can't.
So this is very, very rough knurling. That's for to grip onto your back, but you don't really need it on the front. So can you see, this is not what normally happens when I'm doing front squats, but because it's session 1 in, I don't know, over a year, with the powerlifting bar, not a weightlifting bar, it's already peeling the skin here. Like that is sensitive skin, that doesn't happen. So that's gonna take a bit of conditioning. And that's where I felt it. Not my legs, not my body, it was like just uncomfortable here. Anyway, now you know.